Hi, my name's Sarah and I work with Strategic Coach. Today, I am going to take you through the Kolbe system to give you a better understanding of what your numbers mean to you. Before I get started, I also want to recommend a YouTube, I'm going to say video, but it's like 52 minutes long, but it's really well worth watching. It's called The Last Part of the Mind, and it's about Kathy Kolbe, who is the founder and creator of Kolbe. And it gives you real insight into how she came about creating the Kolbe assessment process. So I'm going to share my screen and go through all of the information around Kolbe. I'm also going to send you the Kolbe bottom lines, which for me is like a quick cheat sheet into Kolbe and really understanding your numbers and kind of how you're going to take action. So, Kathy Kolbe really does believe that success is the freedom to be yourself. And I also really do believe this as well because everyone else is taken. So, why not have the confidence to truly just embrace who you are and be your true self? So with Colby, it's actually broken down into one key part of the mind. So as you can see from the diagram here on screen, we've got three areas. So we've got the red side of the mind, which is your cognitive. So this is your IQ, it's your skill, it's information that you acquire over your whole lifetime. And then we've got the yellow part of the mind, which is the feeling. So this is your personality, your likes, your dislikes. This is very much open to changing throughout your life. The rule of there's changes every 7 years definitely play into this part of the mind as well. So there's things today that you like or dislike, and that may or may not have been the case previously. So this is very influenced by situation. But what Colby specifically focuses on is this green part of the mind. This is the cognitive. This is your striving instincts. It's how you take action. It's your knee-jerk reaction as well. So this is very much about the doing. So, as you will know now with Colby, you have four numbers. So, that would be relate to one of these four action modes. So, the first one is fact finder. So, this is how you gather and share information. Then we have follow through, which, if you think about this in terms of how you get things done in a systematized and organization way, we've got quick start, which is how you deal with risk and uncertainty. And just because maybe you've got a lower number does not mean that you will take less of a risk. I'll get into the details of that as we go through today. And then we've got implementer. Now, I really want you to think about implementer in terms of how you build, how you construct something, not how you implement. There is often a real confusion between follow through and implementer. But if you think about the way that you would want to implement something, would very much relate to follow through. And if you look at implementer in terms of using implements and the space around you and using tangibles and being creative and building something and making it concrete and come to life, that would be the difference between follow through and implementer. So Colby works on a continuum from 1 to 10, and I do need to stress that 1 is not better than any other number. Every number has its own unique strength. So with Fact Finder, if you are in sort of the 1, 2, and 3 zone, we would refer to you as being a generalist. And then as opposed to somebody who sits in the 7 to 10 bracket, you would be a specialist when it came to information gathering and sharing. We then have follow through, which, as I said to you just a moment ago, is all about organization. It's about getting things done in a sequential way. So 1, 2s, and 3s tend to take a very random approach when it comes to tasks and activities, as opposed to somebody who's 7 to 10, it's going to be very sequential. It's going to make sure that it follows order, it follows pattern, it follows the system. With the quick start. So somebody who's 1, 2, and 3 in that bracket would be somebody who stabilizes the risk and uncertainty. And of course, we really do need to have these people around. Otherwise, we'd be running around like headless chickens, trying all the new things, but just lots of chaos. The 7 to 10s, they love to improvise. They're very quick thinking. They jump into things really feet first. Sometimes it's almost like they can defy the odds. And then if we look at implementer, so one, twos, and threes are very abstract when it comes to taking action. We don't really need to see it to believe it. As opposed to somebody who sits in the 7 to 10, they really want to visualize and maybe create the experience that they're going into before actually jumping into it. So, as I briefly mentioned, then I was talking about one, two, and three, and 7 to 10. Each mode is broken down into three key zones. So, 1 to 3, 4 to 6, and 7 to 10. So, 1 to 3 with Fact Finder, they like to simplify the information. So, if you give them a really long worded email, they're going to kind of become almost paralyzed by wanting to read it all because they just need that information quickly. So, tip, if you find that you are communicating to somebody who is a one, two, and three with Fact Finder, then maybe, yes, you can have all of the content there in the email. But my advice to you would be to bold or to, color code the key message that you're trying to get across to them so that on first glance they have the opportunity to be able to read it and extract that information, but then should they have a need to dive deeper into it, it's available to them. The 4, 5s, and 6s, just so you know, I'm a 6, 6, 6, 3. So I sit in this explain zone. I like to paraphrase. I like to kind of have the essence. But I am somebody who can quite easily flex and go into, bottom line information. But then required, I can go in and almost, get really specific into the detail around that. So 7 to 10 are, they want to specify the details. And you can always tell when you're in a room with somebody that sits in 7 to 10 because they're always going to have a follow-up question. They're always going to want to clarify. And then the 1, 2s, and 3s, they often quite jump in and say, hang on a minute, we've already done this. But for the 7 to 10s, they're really trying to just go back and gather all of that information so that they feel really, really comfortable. With follow through. So 1, 2s, and 3s, they like to adapt the process. So if you have process and systems in your business and a 1, 2, and 3 is supposed to be following those systems and processes, you can guarantee that they will find their own shortcut within the already established process to try and get things done. Now, one of the real strengths of somebody who has a 1, 2, or 3 on follow through is they have an ability to come in and simplify what has become an overcomplicated process for the sake of it. So, as I was saying before, every number has a strength. So it's not to say that you shouldn't have somebody who's a 1, 2, and 3, in a role where they're following process, because they can come in and actually take the complexity away from it because it's become overcomplicated. 4, 5s, and 6s. So again, they like to maintain the process. So if a process is in place, they will absolutely follow it and ensure that things get done. I love to follow a plan. However, I'm not the best person to create the plan, even though I do have a 6 on follow through myself. My colleague who I work very closely with, Hayley, she has a 7. So she sits in this systematized way of getting things done. So, I rely on Hayley to kind of give me the plan. So she'll create the plan and she'll give it to me and then I will execute. So just understanding the difference between kind of, each zone is going to be really important, especially in a team environment as well. When we look at quick start, so 1, 2, and 3, as I mentioned before, they're going to stabilize any risk and uncertainty. And we really need to have people in the business in certain roles that are kind of pushing back on crazy ideas and jumping in and just being innovative and all the bright shiny things. For somebody who sits in the 4 to 6, they're going to modify. So again, speaking for myself, I love to try new things. I'm always the one that will put my hand up and give something a go, even if I've never done it before, because I do want to experiment. I do want to try new things and I do have great ideas. And then for the 7 to 10s, they're going to innovate. So, they are always new idea, new idea, new idea. Have we thought of this? Should we do this? Let's try that. It can drive some people crazy if they are, polar opposite. But, we need that in order for the world to continue to move forward. We need people to be able to innovate, to defy the odds, to be able to take that risk and that uncertainty and be really comfortable in that space. And then when we look at implementer, so 1, 2s, and 3s, I'm a 3 here myself. So I'm somebody who likes to just envision. So I don't need to see it to believe it. If I have the idea and I can visualize it in my mind's eye, I'm happy to take action. Four, fives, and sixes, what you may find is they're going to maybe use objects when they're communicating because they're trying to bring the idea that's in their head into the present world and make it a reality when they're communicating. And then the seven, eights, nines, and tens, they really want to have a 3D model. They really want to be able to see what it is that they are leaping into, what they're getting involved with. Um, it's really interesting with one of the people that I work with who has a seven on this. And whenever they go to a hotel, it's not good enough just looking at the pictures on the website. They actually need to call the hotel. I've had somebody ask for blueprints. I've had somebody ask for video content so that they can really understand the space that they're going into to make sure that it's the room that they want to be, in for the week that they're away for. So this is the what I refer to as the Kolbe cheat sheet, which will be available to you. And I think this is a great place to start when it comes to just understanding your Kolbe, the people around you, and just being mindful of like not triggering people if you are kind of polar opposites to each other. I've been a Kolbe certified consultant now for about 6.5 years. I didn't always know what I know today because as I've, acquired more information and more understanding and more learning with Kolbe, I've really got comfortable and feel that I understand it extremely well now. But when I first started, this was my go-to. So I would highly recommend that you use this sheet for yourself and for your team. And then if you do have any additional questions in regards to your Kolbe, then please feel free to reach out to myself or Christo. And before I wrap up, just one other thing from me is I just want you to embrace your Kolbe profile. You are who you are. If for any reason you do not have four consistent, steady numbers, that could mean that you are in a period of transition. And I would highly recommend that you leave it probably 2 to 3 weeks, retake your Kolbe profile, and by which point, hopefully, things have calmed down for you and you will get four steady numbers for each of the modes. But again, it's been a pleasure creating this video for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thanks. Bye.